Hello friends, welcome to Manu Law Classes. मेरा नाम गौतम दीक्षित है. Now friends, in this video we are going to discuss the daily Hindu analysis of July 16, 2022. Now some of the important news they are coming from Sri Lanka. Then a ranking, NIRF ranking declared by the Union Ministry of Education. Along with that, the most important editorial for today that we are going to read about Eurocentrism. What is Eurocentrism? What are those global factors which are happening now, which can lead to once again a Eurocentrism? As we can see that before World War II, the world was Eurocentric. Now, but after World War II, United States became the new polar of the world, and then there was a Cold War. But now, after the Russia-Ukraine crisis, there is a shift, and now there can be a rise of Eurocentric. We will see the factors responsible for rise in Eurocentric, as well as we will also see what it has implications for other countries. So let's start the news. The first news is from Sri Lanka, that is Gotabaya quits, Ranil sworn in as the acting president of Sri Lanka. So हमने इसको news को पहले भी किया हुआ है that Gotabaya he fled to Singapore, and now from there he sent his resignation letter, and after the checking the legality and authenticity, now Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was the prime minister, now he is the acting president of Sri Lanka. Now the members of parliament of Sri Lanka, they are going to elect a new president through secret ballot. Okay, so if you will just see over here, India में भी presidential election होने वाला है, हमने इसको पढ़ा है, July 18 date है. So on that day also, the president of India will be elected. The electoral college of the president of India is the elected members of Lok Sabha, elected members of Rajya Sabha, and elected members of state legislative assembly, and the election happens through secret ballot. The next news इसको हम foreign page में भी पढ़ेंगे, that is Rajpaksas have been ordered not to leave the country. So other members of Rajpaksa family, that is the earlier prime minister, former prime minister Mahinda Rajpaksa, former finance minister Basil Rajpaksa, they have been barred by Supreme Court of Sri Lanka to leave the country till July 28. The next and very important news is from the index, that is IIT Madras had been ranked country's top higher education institute. अब कौन से इंडेक्स में टॉप आया है? That is the index that is called as National Institution Ranking Framework. This National Institution Ranking Framework 2022, it has been released by the Union Ministry of Education. And over here, if you will just see, the Indian Institute of Technology Madras is the top higher education institute in the country, which is followed by IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay. Now, if you will just see the top 5 universities, so come to the second paragraph. The top 5 universities are IISc Bangalore, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Jamia Millia Islamia, Jadavpur University, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Now see, what is the difference? This is a chart for institutions, not universities. The second paragraph is for universities. Now, if you will just see the top 5 colleges in the country, so they are Miranda House, Hindu College, Presidency College, Loyola College, and Lady Shri Ram College for Women. Then the top 5 medical institutes are All India Institute of Medical Science, Postgraduate Institute of Medical Education and Research, Chandigarh, then Christian Medical College, Vellore, National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience, Bengaluru, and Banaras Hindu University. Then the top 5 management institutes are Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, IIM Calcutta, IIT Delhi, and IIM Kozhikode. Now, this was the 7th edition of NIRF, and what is the objective of NIRF? That it ranks colleges, universities, and research institutions, and it also provides an overall ranking of all of them combined. Then there are 7 subject domains. These are engineering, management, pharmacy, law, medical, architecture, and dental. The 5 parameters of NIRF are teaching, learning and resources, that is TLR, research and professional practice, graduation outcome, outreach, and inclusivity and perception. The next is, who is our education minister? So see, Dharmendra Pradhan is our incumbent Union Minister of Education. The next is that he has said to one very important thing, that is the national accreditation, NAAC and NBA. These are the 2 accreditation systems in India. they will be merged together. The next is a very important news coming from the state, that is Namsai Declaration. So Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, they have signed an Namsai Declaration for resolving their border dispute, which involves 123 villages. Now, this declaration, which attempts to resolve the dispute, it will be based on the map which was prepared in 1960 by a high-powered tripartite committee. So if you will just see this boundary line, it was prepared by 20, it consists of 29 topo sheets, which was developed by high power tripartite committee, and it was notified in 1960. Now there is a brief history of Arunachal Pradesh, that is that present day Arunachal Pradesh, which attained statehood in February 1987. Earlier it was called as Northeast Frontier Tract, which was administered by Governor of Assam. Then it was called as a Northeast Frontier Agency and was brought under the control of Union government in 1954. And then in 1987, it gained statehood. Now, Assam and Meghalaya, they have already resolved their boundary dispute. They constituted 12 regional committees for covering all the 12 districts for resolving the dispute. Now, the same model is being adopted between Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. Now, friends, deficit doubts. Now, this is the article from Economy. From Economy, we are going to do the editorial. So over here, we are going to talk about the macroeconomic risk to the India. Earlier, yesterday, we talked about twin deficit, that is inflation and current account deficit. Now, if you will just see the third problem which is coming is depreciation of rupee. We yesterday saw that rupee almost touched 80 rupees per $1. Now we will see that US में भी inflation बढ़ रहा है, and the US is also following the tightening of monetary policies, that is by the US Federal Reserve. US Federal Reserve, it is the central bank of USA. Now you will just see that in India, some measures were taken. Those has led to dip in inflation. The inflation for June is 7.01. So if you will just see that interest rate hikes and measures to curtail the outflow of dollars announced by RBI, and government has imposed windfall taxes and higher import duties on gold, that has helped the economy to revive further. The next is, if you will just see that industrial metal prices, they are slipping to 16-month low, and prices for some food items are falling, and crude oil prices are also declining. Okay, these are some of the good news for Indian economy. But if you will just see India's current account deficit, it has deteriorated mainly because of very low export, and imports, they have become very costlier. So if you will just see here that slowing exports and costlier inelastic imports of oil have triggered record merchandise trade deficit for 2 consecutive months, which has led to very high current account deficit. Now the current account deficit currently is 2.7% of GDP, mainly because of supply shocks from crude oil prices. The next news is about monkeypox. So monkeypox has been detected in Kerala. The first case in India has been detected in Kerala. A 35-year-old man who came to Kerala from UAE. Now, the first case of the virus outside Africa was reported in UK on May 6, 2022. Since then, Europe and USA, they have become the epicenter of this disease. Now, if you will just see that the rapid increase in cases and geographical spread have primarily been due to human-to-human transmission, largely during sexual contact, especially among men who have sex with men. Now, WHO has one observation. If you will just see that there were some rave parties which were held in Spain and Belgium. So the WHO says that undetected transmission for some unknown duration of time, followed by some recent amplifier events. These recent amplifier events are these rave parties, which has led to increase in cases. So if we will just see, most of the European countries, यहाँ पे cases बहुत ज़्यादा है, like Spain, UK, Germany, and US. Now there is one case. The first human case, it was reported in 1970 in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is very important information. Please note it. And the virus became endemic in 11 countries in Africa, causing small outbreaks. But इसके लिए कोई स्टडी नहीं किया गया. अब जो स्टडी किया गया है उसमें ये पाया जा रहा है कि Monkeypox virus, they are found in semen, saliva, urine, rectal swabs, and feces, and at a very high viral loads. The next is about Eurocentrism. So if you will just see this article, it says that the contemporary international order is hardly Eurocentric. If you will just see the rise of United Nations, then the rise of United States, then Cold War, this has led to decline in Eurocentrism, especially after World War II. But certain events, okay, it has the author is saying that they may lead to revival of Eurocentric world order. So some of these are the main reason for this is the Russia's action in Ukraine. If you will just see the political and military aftermath of Russia's war on Ukraine can tilt the current global balance and take us back to Eurocentric world order. Now, if you will just see here, हम यहाँ पे main Germany की बात करेंगे. Okay, along with that, if you will just see that the new security consciousness in Europe will reduce Washington's ability to continue as the fulcrum of the transatlantic strategic imagination. Means they are talking about NATO कि अगर करंट एग्रेशन इस तरीके से अगर चलता रहा तो यूरोप जो है वो वॉशिंगटन पर कम रिलाई करेगा और अपने मेजर्स ज्यादा लेगा. Second, that if it happens that in future Donald Trump becomes the president of USA in 2024, then the European countries, they are likely to take their own security far more seriously. So if you will just see over here, यहाँ पे जर्मनी का एग्जाम्पल दिया है. They are saying that the Russian aggression against Ukraine has led to an immeasurable feeling of insecurity in Europe, particularly in Germany. Now, there are certain events which has happened because of Russia-Ukraine crisis. पहला तो ये है कि यूरोपियन कंट्रीज के बीच में एक existential insecurity की बात चल रही है. And now there is a renewed enthusiasm about the future of European Union and North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So European Union, as we know, it is the economic union of 27 European countries, and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is a military alliance of 30 countries. Two new countries, Nordic countries, have recently applied for the membership. Those are Sweden and Finland. If you will just see the European Commission, European Union Commission, which is headquartered in Brussels, they have recently backed Ukraine's bid for EU candidature. And NATO has found two new members, that is Finland and Sweden. This is mainly because of Russia-Ukraine crisis. अगर हम यहाँ पे जर्मनी की अगर बात करें, impact on institutions में, तो जर्मनी, ओके, यहाँ पे अब बात चल रही है कि दैट जर्मनी इज कमिंग आउट ऑफ इट्स सेल्फ इमेज ऑफ पैसिफिस्ट नेशन. ओके, अगर हम देखेंगे रिसेंट एड्रेस ऑफ जर्मनी चांसलर ओलाफ स्कोल्स, he called a February 24 invasion. Now see, this date is very important. On this day, Russia invaded Ukraine. He considered this date as a revolutionary in the history of post-war Europe. Now, Germany पहले डिफेंस पे बहुत कम स्पेंड कर रहा था, that is only 1.3%, and now the defense expenditure may go up to 2%. Then there appears a very little faith in the international organizations like United Nations or United Nations Security Council, and Berlin has decided to put their faith in a European Union and NATO. तो अब क्या होगा कि ऐसे रीजनल ग्रुपिंग्स और मिलिट्री अलायंस का जो दबदबा है वो बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाएगा. द नेक्स्ट इज, जैसे कि अगर हम बाकी कंट्रीज पे अगर हम बात करें तो receding multilateralism and rising Eurocentrism would invariably mean that norm setting and system shaping discussions are likely to be conducted by Europeans among Europeans for Europeans and non-Europeans. If you will just see that the key message from the European narratives about the Ukraine war is that European states would want to see their wars and conflicts as threatening international stability and rule-based global order. मतलब कि सारे countries, they must be interested in that, because anything happening in Europe, they are going to threaten the international order. अगर वो international order disturb हुआ तो सारे countries पे impact होगा. The next is यहाँ पे इसमें if you will just see, यहाँ पे this thing is very important related to defense. So if you will just see that a new INS frigate under Project 17A, that is called as Dunagiri, built by Garden Rich shipbuilders and engineers. Now it has been launched in Kolkata. Now if you see that who is our Navy Chief Admiral, then he is R. Hari Kumar. The next is about Rafale jet. So Rafale jets के बारे में बता दूं. Rafale jets they are manufactured by Dassault Aviation. It is a French company. इंडिया और फ्रांस ने 2016 में एक इंटर गवर्नमेंटल एग्रीमेंट साइन किया था जिसका कॉस्ट था यूरो 7.87 बिलियन. इस डील के अंदर 36 राफेल मल्टी रोल फाइटर जेट्स इन फ्लाई अवे कंडीशंस वर गोइंग टू बी डिलीवर्ड टू इंडिया. Out of that, if you will just see that France has delivered all 36 Rafale fighter jets to India. ओके, और 35 जेट्स जो है वो इंडिया में पहुंच चुके हैं और एक जेट जो है विच इज अ इंस्ट्रूमेंटेड एयरक्राफ्ट ऑन विच 13 इंडिया स्पेसिफिक एनहांसमेंट, मतलब इंडिया ने जो कहा था इंडिया के रिक्वायरमेंट के हिसाब से उसको थोड़ा एनहांसमेंट चाहिए था, वो अभी फ्रांस में ही है. Recently, the last batch of 3 Rafale jets had arrived in India in February, and now Rafale jets inventory in India is 35. उसके बाद एक इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन है यहाँ पे, रफाल एम. नाउ व्हाट इज रफाल एम? इट इज अ नेवल वेरिएंट ऑफ रफाल जेट. सो देयर आर 2 jets which are being considered for India's aircraft carrier, that is INS Vikrant and INS Vikramaditya. Those are Rafale M and F-18 Super Hornet. Now, friends, from international page, we have very important news from SCO. What is SCO? It is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Just read over here. This gives the history of SCO. That is China, Russia, and 4 Central Asian states. That is Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. They were the founding members of the SCO. Then India and Pakistan joined the grouping in 2017. Okay, and last year's summit that was held in Dushanbe, Iran agreed to join SCO, and Belarus has also begun the membership process. Okay, so currently the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is in its second phase of expansion. So if you will just see the recent SCO summit, if you will just see that it will be held in September in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Now, there are some factual information that who is the current SCO secretary. Then he is General Zhang Ming, who is a Chinese diplomat. If you will just see the difference between SCO and NATO, तो यहाँ पर अगर हम देखेंगे that NATO is also expanding. 2 new members of NATO are Sweden and Finland, and SCO is also inducting a new member. Okay, so पर यहाँ पे the diplomats they are highlighting that the expansion of NATO is totally different, as the SCO is a cooperative organization based on non-alignment and not targeting a third party. अगर हम NATO की बात करें, which was established in 1949, so it is based on Cold War thinking, and the logic of NATO is creating new enemies to sustain its own existence. ये ऐसा बोला गया है, ठीक है? If you will just see over here, NATO, that is North Atlantic Treaty Organization, it is a military alliance, and SCO यहाँ पे it is a cooperative organization. इसके बाद हम देखेंगे कि that India it is going to host the SCO summit next year, that is in 2023, and Varanasi has been selected as the SCO region's first tourism and cultural capital. This is very important. Please make a note of it. Then the next from the economy page is that Saudi Arabia opens its airspace to Israeli flights. So Saudi Arabia has opened its airspace to all air carriers, signaling the end of its long-standing ban on Israeli flights overflying its territory. Now, this announcement is a step towards normalization of relationship between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Now, related to it, हमने पहले भी एक news किया हुआ है, that is called as I2U2. So I2U2, it is also called as West Asian Quad, and it consists of 4 members. Those are Israel, India, I2, U2 में USA and UAE. The next is CATSA. So the US House of Representatives, which is the lower house of US, just like our Lok Sabha, they have passed a legislative amendment, and it approves waiver to India for buying S-400 missile defense system from Russia. Now, Turkey, which is a member of NATO, it had also bought S-400 missile defense system from Russia, but it was placed under CATSA sanction. Okay, the full form of CATSA is Countering American Adversaries Through Sanction Act 2017. So friends, that's all for today. We will meet next week again with a daily Hindu analysis. Till then, have a nice time. Take care. Thank you.